nor did the people crossing themselves and genuflecting behind the barricade. And why should they? These were the warriors of the Rocca Paida, the hilltop fortress that protected the city from danger. Everyone had heard the rumor that the Perugians planned to kidnap the saint's remains, or so Simone hoped. Surprise would be his best ally. Behind the bishops marched the friars, and at the heart of their column the coffin-bearers. They crossed the piazza along the ledge of the embankment that marked its southern boundary. The crucifix, cardinals, and bishops had already disappeared down the dirt path leading to the lower church and waited in formation in the courtyard outside. Simone's moment had come. When the coffin tipped down the path also, he yelled, "Adesso! Now!" and dug his spurs into his mount. The animal bolted into the line, smashing out with its front hooves as he'd trained it to do in battle. Bones snapped, and a friar disappeared under the charge with a cry of pain. Another dove over the embankment to avoid the huge horse. Simone grinned beneath his helmet and slashed wildly with his blade. As he swung his mount in a slow circle, he saw the civil guard skirmishing with a cluster of men trying to scale the spectator barricade. "Seal the top of the path!" he called to the rider beside him. Two of his horsemen had already started down after the coffin, herding the pallbearers toward the lower courtyard. At first the friars cooperated, rushing for the sanctuary of the church and the protection of the mayor, who waited at the base of the path with the rest of his civil guard. But instead, Giancarlo's men used their pikes to scatter the prelates from the courtyard in a flurry of mitres and cloaks and gathered skirts, fighting their way upward toward the coffin. Too late the friars realized they were caught in the pincers of a trap. Simone plunged his horse down the hillside alongside the path. Just below him, a friar seized a guard by the arm, screaming shrilly. The man sent him hurtling off the path with a blow from his metal gauntlet, and Simone's horse had to leap the tumbling figure as it skidded headfirst down the hillside. The knight looked back only when he reached the bottom of the hill. The friar's cowl had flown off, freeing his long black braid. The Roman widow, damn her! She had no business marching with the friars. Blood spurted from her cheek as she finally managed to right herself, but she seemed neither to notice nor care. She shook her fist, and her green eyes blazed at him. "How dare you, Simone!" she shrieked. "How dare you steal our saint!" The knight inhaled sharply, hearing himself accused by name. He wished again that the mayor had hired warriors from another city to do this dirty work. He wheeled and galloped for the church door. The guards had the coffin now, peeling off one last friar, small as a boy, who clung to the lid with all his strength. That would be Leo the dwarf, Simone guessed from his size. With the plank box surrounded, Giancarlo's men wedged in behind Simone while the churchmen pelted them with curses. The knight jumped from his horse and flipped the reins to one of the guards. "You'll burn in hell for this, Simone," someone bellowed close to his ear. He turned and raised his sword, but the Bishop of Assisi held up the cross that hung around his neck to ward him off. Simone bit his bottom lip and ducked into the church. The mayor joined him immediately. Just inside the doorway, the wool merchant waited alongside the castellan from Tode commune. "Set down the coffin," Giancarlo shouted to his men. Then he shoved them back outside to defend the courtyard. With the guards gone, he and the knight lifted a heavy beam across the door. The mayor leaned against the carved panel, breathing hard, while Simone raised his helmet and wiped his forehead on the sleeve of his quilted gambeson. Only when the knight sheathed his sword did he notice the drying streaks of crimson on the blade. Worse and worse, he thought blackly. The dark entrance and the muffling of the confusion outside the church settled his nerves. He glanced around at the blanched face of the castellan, the disdain curling on the merchant's lips, the mayor's rigid jaw, wondering why each had involved himself in this sacrilegious business. He suspected the merchant would happily sell off the relics, bone by hallowed bone, albeit they were the remains of his only brother. A voice rang from the far end of the nave. "Hurry! Bring the coffin here!" Two friars, the master builder Fra Elias and his lackey, waited on either side of the main altar. A circle of torches flamed from the stanchions behind them, recalling to Simone the bishop's threat of hell fire. The torchlight cast Fra Elias' shadow out into the church, where it projected far larger than the light-boned conspirator who had plotted the theft. Simone's face flushed with heat, despite the chill draft in the church. He wondered whether Elias could shrive him before they left the church, even though he'd been an equal partner in this sin. He dreaded the prospect of facing